Have you seen the debt in this country? I've been looking at some charts and statistics. It's literally a bell curve going straight up. You know, if your stocks and investments look like the debt curve does, you'd be super happy right now. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But it does make perfect sense. You see, we had this thing called the pandemic just a little bit ago. I don't know, maybe you remember it. They shut down the entire world. Some states were shut down for literally multiple years. Not Florida, where I live now. Probably should have lived there then. And while that happened though, people really didn't have the ability to go out and spend like we do today. So they started saving money at unbelievable rates. And that savings was paying down the debt at an unbelievable rate. Savings was going up, debts were going down. It was like, whoa. And then the world opened back up and we could get back on planes and fly around the world. You know I did. And that's what other people did as well. And that led us to Revenge Summer numero uno. And then of course, followed by Revenge Summer part dos. But now, what you've seen happen is because everything is opened back up and savings have been, let's call it plummeting, a nice way to say that, it's literally at record lows. But debt has been skyrocketing. So the one thing that hasn't changed, and I think you know it, when you go out and have dinner, or you're at the beach, or you're doing things outside, people's lifestyles seem to be maintaining, which means what they're maintaining is this lifestyle on debt. And debt is what will crash almost every single household if the economy turns, if the markets go the other way, if someone loses their job. And all three of those things are likely to happen. So here's what I wanted to do today. I want to show each and every one of you how to get rid of your debt. I want to talk to you about the 5 ways to eliminate that debt that everyone can apply. I'm Shawn King, Infinite Banking Specialist, and today we're going to tackle your debt. So let's dive in. Let's discuss how to eliminate your debts the fastest way possible. But before we can talk about eliminating debt, we got to talk about this one thing. I'm pointing to your mind. We have to change your mindset because debt is a mindset. Whether you think it is or you think it's not, I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to tell you that it is. Because we love to go out and live life. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. I'm telling you guys. We like to have nice cars, nice houses, nice watches, nice clothes. We like to do nice dinners, and we like to have fun with our friends. I'm right there with you. I get it. But the problem is, if you're spending more than you're making, or maybe not even spending more than what you're making, but you're spending right up to the amount that you're making, we call that living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with what that is and what that feels like. And you're doing that just to maintain this lifestyle. You're messing up, you guys. And I get it. We allow our emotions to get the best of us. Think about this. You go to a store, maybe you're with a friend or something, and they're like, oh, that's so nice. You look so good in that. What do? You really don't think about it. You really don't go, oh, I can't really afford this. You just go, hey, no worries. I'll put it on my card. I got it. That's what I got this credit card for. I'll catch up with that later. And then your car breaks down. You take the car to the shop and they tell you what the repair bill is going to be. And you're like, ugh, that's kind of a little steep. So then what do? You just decide to buy a new car. And you don't even really think that it's anything because you're like, well, I didn't really want to pay to fix the old car. I'm just going to take on a bigger monthly payment. It's cool. It's totally fine. I got it. You see, these are all mindset issues. You're allowing emotions to become more important than logic. If we just stop for a second and we think logically about what we're doing, and if we put off short-term emotional decisions for long-term sustainability, we'll be much better off. But believe me, I know this is a really difficult thing, you guys. And I know I can sit here and talk about it till I'm blue in the face. But this is the first place it starts, you guys. Your mindset must change. You have to look at this as a long-term process, because if you don't, you'll just keep living paycheck to paycheck. You'll keep blaming other people when things don't go your way. Maybe that's you, maybe it's not. And your future doesn't end up panning out the way that you want it to. You'll start to become negative. Hopefully, nobody likes a negative person. But hopefully at some point in time, you'll realize that you put yourself in this position. So it's time to take responsibility and get yourself out. Hopefully that's you. And you know what that's going to take? A strong mindset. But I've got some good news for you guys. Before we dive in, none of this is your fault. You heard it here first. None of it's your fault. The fact that you're in debt, the fact that you might be living paycheck to paycheck, spending more than you make, it's not your fault. You've been preconditioned to think like this. Your mindset is just following what your life has told you to do for most of your life. And what has it told you to do? Buy things you want. Use credit cards for everything else. Credit cards, credit cards, credit cards. We barely use cash anymore. We certainly don't set up budgets anymore. We just bring money in and let money go back out, usually at a higher clip than we're bringing it in, because that's what we've been brainwashed into doing. For most of us, probably at least since high school. And then from there, none of it's gotten better. You see, we're not in a society where we're taught how to save money. We're not in a society where we're taught to think logically. We're in a very emotionally driven society. So, it's not your fault, but it is your problem. And therefore, because it's your problem, it's your responsibility to fix it. And that's what we're going to do in today's video. So, let's move on to number 2. You're going to hate this one, but it's okay. Budget. You need to set up a budget. Now, let me show you how easy this is. What I want you to do is grab yourself a piece of paper, okay? Just grab a piece of paper, and I want you to draw what's called a T-chart. That's right. Nothing too difficult about it. I'm going to do it here with you. Here's what it looks like. Got this? And then what I want you to do is I want you to write on one side, write income, and on the other side, I want you to write expenses. And we could put debts here too, okay? Excuse my fantastic handwriting, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. We're literally creating a budget. Nothing hard about this. I hope at some point in time you guys have done this in your life, but we've got income on one side, and maybe you have one income, maybe a couple. But I would recommend, if you only have one income, that you get yourself a secondary income, a supplemental income. So maybe you've got W-2 income from your work, or maybe you got a little side hustle, a little 1099 income. Maybe you did some passive investing, so you got some K1 income. I don't know, whatever it is. I'm just gonna write a few of those things down, and we're gonna end off with hustle money, okay? All right, so each one of these is your income. Now what I want you to do, when you've got all of these, I just want you to draw a line, and I want you to total them up. What is the total amount of your income? And this should be done annually and also monthly. We're gonna focus on monthly, but you're gonna wanna write down 2 amounts, okay? And the most important number we're gonna focus on is monthly. So we've got monthly. So let's just say that you added that up and your monthly income is $5,000, okay? That's your monthly income. So there you go, that's your income. Now this is gonna take a little bit more work. We're gonna go over to the other side and we're gonna write down all of your expenses, okay? So we're gonna write down your normal expenses, not your debts, just your expenses. And I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to write down monthly and also annually, like I said before. I'm just gonna talk monthly, but I want you guys to write down both of them, okay? So I drew up another little T chart, wrote M and A, monthly and annually, but let's talk about expenses. So groceries, diapers. I mean, hey, I don't know if any of you got to buy diapers, but I've got a 1-year-old son, so we're buying them by the truckloads. So we're writing down all of our expenses. Like I said, we've got groceries, we've got diapers, we got entertainment, clothing, maybe you got some rent or, maybe a mortgage. But if you have a mortgage, I want you to hold on to that. That'll be a debt, okay? So then we also got like utilities and insurance. I want you to add them all up. So let's go ahead and write those down. Okay, great. Wrote them all down. And you come up with, let's just call it $2,500 a month. 2,500 bucks a month. Great. So now we know what our expenses are, and we know our income is $5,000. So I'm going to circle that here. Now, I want you guys to be careful when you're calculating income, because if you have a W-2, it's going to be pretty straightforward. But I want to make sure that if you're not a W-2, if you have other income, you're taking your net income and not your gross income, because that could screw you up. So you got to factor in taxes with that. Now, here's another important thing. After you do that, we're going to draw another line. This is going to be for your debts. Let's draw another line under your last expense. Now, here's one thing I'll preface on debts. Debts are my favorite thing to talk about because I know how to turn your debts into assets. I know how to build wealth through your debts. It's very simple, but I need you to write down all of your debts. These would be things like, in this case, your mortgage, okay? So your mortgage, I want you to know, again, monthly and annual payments. That's all I want you to do. So let's say you got your mortgage payment, okay? You also got a car payment. So we'll go ahead and write that down. But here's what else I want you to do. Next, I want you to write down next to each one of them the remaining balance, okay? And I also want you to write down the interest rate. So it'll kind of look a little something like this. So if you had a mortgage and your mortgage was $450,000, okay, that's how much you had left, and you did that at a 3% interest rate. That might be, I don't know, I'm just making this up, $1,500 bucks a month. Okay, it's definitely going to be more than that, but for the sake of this, I just put 1,500 bucks. Then what I want you to do is the same thing for your car. Okay, so let's say that you got 10 grand that you owe on your car, and you're at 5% interest, and that car's $500 a month. So you want to do this for all of your debts, your credit cards, add them all up, add up everything. How much is leaving your family on a monthly basis in debts? Okay, that simple. So let's just say that totals up to be $2,000 here. So all of your debts cost 2,000 bucks. So if your monthly expenses were 2,500 and your debt payments are 2,000, you see where we're getting really close to your income? Your income, remember, was $5,000, and your expenses and debt payments are now $4,500. That means we have about $500 every single month, and that should be savings. Now, this is where a lot of people start to question their math. If you were this person and this was your budget and you had an extra $500 every month, let's call that your savings, or at least that's money that you're not dedicated to giving away. How come you're not able to save money? Well, when you budget most of the time, and for most of you, you're going to find that you're actually not spending every single penny, and double check the numbers, and actually, please have a significant other kind of look over this with you if you have a partner that you share bills with. Just want to make sure that you didn't miss anything. All right, so great, you didn't miss anything. So you should be saving money, right? But when you look at your bank account, it doesn't look like there's any extra money in there. This is a very common problem. This isn't unique to you, so don't pat yourself on the back. Yup, I'm broke every month, but yet it shows I've got $500 in my savings every month. Here's what you need to do. Set up a separate bank account. Just go to the bank, wherever you pay all of your bills from, the one that you have a checking and a savings account at, and set up a second account, okay? And if you already have one, great, fantastic. What I want you to do is I want you to set up an automatic transfer. Or maybe, some of you, this is even better, set up a bill pay. Every single month, have that bill pay you $500, and in the memo on the bill pay, just write savings, and then deposit that check into your account. And I know some of you are like, I'd prefer to just do the transfer because it's automatic. But you see, I'm doing this for a reason. I want you to see a physical check. So you hold it in your hands and you're saving money, because many people don't actually relate savings to the actual money in their bank account. So now if you're holding the savings and now you're going to deposit it into that second bank account called your second savings account, now what you've done is you've mentally, remember the mindset part, you've mentally gotten yourself over the hump, and now you're saving money. It's just kind of rethinking your thinking. Because if you don't do this and you just leave it in the same account, that account that you pay all your bills from, you guys understand, that is a black hole. There will never be any extra money in there. I know you know that. And if there is, you'll spend it because your mindset is not adapted yet to this new way of doing things. But remember, the first thing I said in this video, I'm going to show you how to get out of debt the fastest way possible. The first two things are prepping you to get out of debt. At this point in the video, all of you, if you want, can just stop because it's too much work. It's too much. I can't handle it. I don't want to create a budget, Shawn. I don't want to save money, Shawn. I don't want to have to bill pay myself every single month, Shawn. Great. You can stop. But for those of you that are still with me, awesome. You're serious about getting out of debt. But you're also probably so serious that you would want to subscribe to this channel right here. And if you're so serious about getting out of debt, you're probably going to want to smash that little bell as well, because that bell is going to allow you to get all of my videos that I do in the future. Nice little notification for you so you can watch them as soon as possible. Awesome. Sorry about that. Let's dive back in, because now we have to talk about the third way that you're going to get out of debt. Okay? So now you've gone through the process of creating a budget. Awesome. You have found that you have some savings. Now what are you going to do? Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to apply something called velocity, okay? This is very important. We're going to use velocity a couple different ways, but the fastest and best way to get rid of your debt is to use velocity. So let me just describe how this works. Right over here is that extra savings in the separate bank account. It's building up. Let's just say that you've got $1,000 saved up in that account. What we're going to do is we're going to take that $1,000 and we're going to come over here and we're going to pay off your lowest debt balance. I'm just making up 1,000. Maybe it's 2,000 for you. Doesn't matter. So we take that 1,000 out of the account and we pay off one of your credit cards or one of your debts at $1,000. Great. Now what happens, folks? We took money from the savings account, that separate account. We paid off your debt. So we got rid of that $1,000 debt. Now what? Some of you would do nothing else, which means you're not tapping into velocity. But if you really want to pay off your debt the fastest way possible, what we're going to do is we're going to take that same payment every month that we were making to that debt that we just paid off, and you're going to put that back into the account where that $1,000 came from. Starting to get it? We're literally going to recycle and recapture money that you were giving away, and we're going to recycle and recapture the interest rate that you were paying to that third-party debtor. I hope this is starting to make sense. So that $1,000 debt we just paid off, you're going to make that same payment back. And how you do this is you just set up an automatic transfer or a bill pay like we talked about before. You want to make as much of this automated as possible, because if you don't, you'll forget, life will get in the way, you'll get caught up doing other things, and this won't happen. I promise you, that's what will happen. But if it's automatic, the whole goal here is we want this to be one big circle, okay? Which the only way to do that is for your debt payments to come back to the original source, which is the account, okay? At this point, that bank account that you set up, that you were then putting your savings into, but now you're not just saving money there, that $500 that we spoke about. Now what you're doing is you're recapturing the interest of the payment that you used to make on that $1,000 debt. This is called velocity. You're taking back the velocity of money that you were giving away. This is how you turn your debts into savings. This is how you build wealth through your own debts and expenses. Does that make sense? Awesome. Now, in that separate bank account that you set up, you have that $500 a month plus the payment that you were giving away to that debt you just paid off. Remember? Great. So now that's going to build faster. And once that builds, you're going to take that money and you're going to pay off the next lowest balance. And then after that, the next one, and the next one, and the next one. All of this will put velocity on your side. You will get out of debt so much faster if you do this. I did mention something in there that we've not covered yet. So I've kind of planted just a little seed idea, and that's number 4, structuring of your debts. You see, a lot of people think that they should pay their debts off first that have the highest interest rate. A lot of people spend a whole lot of time, a whole lot of money trying to pay off their debts with the highest interest rate, but that's not always the best way to do it. I already mentioned that I want you to knock out the lowest debt first. So you want to organize them from lowest to highest balance, okay? That's what we're talking about here. Structuring your debts from lowest balance to highest balance. No regard at all paid to the interest rate. Matter of fact, if your lowest balance debt that you're making monthly payments on was 0%, that's still the first one you pay off, okay? And I know you're probably over here like, I've got other ones. This is 29%. You're thinking, that makes no sense. I should pay the 29% off before I pay off the 0, right? Wrong. Because you must tap into what I just mentioned, velocity. And the only way to do that is to structure your debts from lowest balance to highest balance. Now, of course, I do want to put a disclaimer letting you know that that may not always be the fastest method, but we do have a tool that allows us to mathematically see the best way to pay off your debts. But for today's topic, I just want you to think lowest to highest balance. Fair enough? Great. So we're getting really close to paying your debt off the fastest possible way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the 5th and final step. Now this is a little unconventional and there's not a lot of people out there that will tell you to do this. But what I want you to do is I want you to have your money, your savings that you're putting into that other account. I want that money working for you 24/7, because up to this point, in order to save that money, you had to work for that money, right? Unless somebody's just giving you money. You had to trade hours for dollars. But now what we're going to do, because you followed the first 4 steps, is we're going to have your money work for you 24/7. How do you do that? Well, the only way to do that is to change where that savings goes first. Now, I know some of you are like, wait a second, Shawn. You already told me to open up this separate bank account. You told me to put my savings in there and recapture and recycle all of those debt payments into that one spot. Now, what do you want me to do? Gotcha. I want you to take exactly the amount that you're putting into that account, and I want you to change where you put that savings. That's it. Because if the money's in the bank account, follow me on this one. If the money's in the bank account and we save up $1,000, when we take out that $1,000, how much is left in the account? We started with 1,000. We take out 1,000 to pay off debt. How much is left? It's not a trick question. 0, right? So how much interest is the bank paying you on that account with a 0 balance? Again, not a trick question. They're paying you 0. So what if we changed where that $1,000 was? And then when we took out that $1,000, you still got paid interest and dividends on that $1,000, even though you used the 1,000 to pay off the debt. Wouldn't that be cool? And then you take and recycle and recapture every one of those payments you were making on the debts, like I taught you, and you put them back into this account. So if we take that $1,000 out of the account, we take a loan from our private bank, then we put whatever the payment is for the debt that we paid off back into your bank to pay down the loan that we took out. So now you're applying everything we just went over, and then you take and you recycle and recapture every one of those payments you were making on the debts, just like I taught you, and you put them back into this account. So if we take that $1,000 out of the account, we take a loan from our private bank. Then we put whatever the payment is for that debt we paid off back into our bank, our personal bank, to pay down the loan that we took out. So now you're applying everything we went over. And let's just do a quick recap. The first thing, change your mindset. You know, Will Rogers said something profound. He said the biggest problem in America is not what people don't know. He said the biggest problem in America is what people think they know that just ain't so. So that's the mindset. We need to start tapping into the things that we don't know. And how we're going to do that is we're following a process. Number 2 was budget. Do the work, create the budget. And then number 3 was the extra amount that you're actually saving. We're going to use that money in a separate account. We're going to store it into a separate account. And now you know we're going to change where that money goes. We're going to actually put that money, as number 5 said, into a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy from a mutual company that pays dividends. But I got ahead of myself really quickly there. Let's just talk about velocity again really quickly. We're going to tap into the velocity of money by paying off debts and recycling and recapturing the money that we were giving away. After that, I talk about structuring your debt. That was number 4. Number 4 was put your debts from lowest balance to highest balance. Forget about the interest rate, remember? And number 5, get your money working for you 24/7. And the only way to do that is to change where it goes first. And where we're going to put that savings, like I said, is into a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned life insurance company that pays dividends. And we can help you do this. We can help you structure it because it's not a normal whole life. But by doing just that one thing and using the proper life insurance company and product, your money can work for you 24/7, 365. And it's going to work for you through this thing called uninterrupted compounding interest. Folks, if you follow these 5 steps, if you apply these 5 steps in your life, you will get out of debt the fastest way possible. And you know why I know this? I know this because we've got software that allows us to mathematically prove it. So guys, if you want the mathematical proven way to get out of debt, if that's something that sounds good to you, you're going to want to head down to the description of this video and click that link. That'll take you to the home page of my website where you can watch our full overview, which will be extremely helpful. After that, go ahead and book yourself a free cash consultation with me and my team. We will sit down, answer all of your questions, and discuss exactly what your goals are and how infinite banking can be the foundation of helping you get out of debt and build your legacy. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more financial insights, and check out some of our super helpful other videos on the channel. There's a bunch of them. You're going to love them. As always, guys, the information is free, but the knowledge is priceless. I'm Shawn King, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.